I'm Andrew Edwards and you're watching Gear Live. What you're looking at is the Red Hydrogen One smartphone, and it's one of the most ambitious phones I've seen in years. In this video, I tell you all about who Red is and why the Hydrogen One matters in the current smartphone game. What's going on, Tech Squad? I'm Andrew Edwards, editor-in-chief of GearLive.com. If this is your first time here, this channel is all about tech, gadgets, and gaming. So if you're into that kind of stuff, feel free to hit the subscribe button down below along with the bell notification icon so you don't miss any future videos. As I mentioned, I was able to get my hands on the upcoming Red Hydrogen One smartphone. Now, the Hydrogen One doesn't drop until this August, so this was a pre-release event held in LA at Red Studios. And in fact, this wasn't even a media event. There weren't even that much media there. It was an event for Red pioneers. This is how Red refers to their biggest fans. And in fact, despite inviting some media there, there were a bunch of sports stars, movie stars, music stars, and a bunch of movie industry executives as well. And Red told us as we were waiting in line ready to get into the building that no professional cameras were going to be allowed. So a bunch of people in line had professional cameras on them. They had tripods, they had everything ready to go, and they had to go and bring that stuff back to their cars. If they had a car there, a lot of people brought Ubers, they basically had to not bring that stuff in. They had to find a place to store that stuff. Now, however, Red did say we could use our smartphones, we could use the cameras on our smartphones, but the one caveat was we could not shoot or record the display. And I'll talk more about that in just a minute. But let me back up for a moment because I'm assuming there's a lot of you who don't even know who Red is. Red is better known in the movie industry and cinematography world for their very high-end 4K and above cameras, which they give grandiose names like the Red Weapon or the Red Dragon or the Red Epic. These are modular cameras that can get pretty expensive. Heck, just buying the Red Monstro 8K upgrade for one of your Red cameras costs about $39,500. You can easily spend $50,000 on a Red camera setup. So that's Red. They've been around since 1999, so almost 20 years. They make high-end cameras. They're well known in the filmmaking industry, but most people on the street, the average person, doesn't know who they are because their cameras aren't sold at places like Best Buy or Amazon. Now Red is ready for their next challenge, and that is entering the world of smartphones. But this isn't just any smartphone. I mean, yes, it runs Android and it's gonna be carried at places like Verizon and AT&T, but just look at this thing. The Red Hydrogen One is big. Some may describe it as huge. It sports a 5.7-inch 4V display and yet is larger than an iPhone 8 Plus. It's got USB-C, stereo speakers, a headphone jack, a fingerprint sensor, and a row of gold pins on back, which will allow you to attach modules, like camera lenses, among other things, from more traditional DSLR cameras. In fact, just like Red's more expensive cameras, this phone is going to be completely modular, and one of the modules will allow you to attach lenses from companies like Nikon, Canon, Sony, Panasonic, Leica, Fuji, right to the phone itself. So like the more expensive cinema cameras, Red wants their smartphone to be a piece of a larger system which you can use to make creative content. Now let's circle back around to that display for a moment. As I mentioned, Red said we were not allowed to take pictures of or video of the display. And the reason for that is because it is a 4V display, which means 4View, which still doesn't really explain what it is. It's basically a glasses-free 3D display. So if you're looking at the display, you're seeing 3D without having to have 3D glasses on. And it is the best glasses-free 3D that I've ever seen. I've used the HTC Evo 3D phone. There's obviously the Nintendo 3DS as well, which is probably the most popular glasses-free 3D device that's been out there. But Red is upping the game. There's actually a 2D mode, there's a 3D mode, and then there is the holographic mode. And the holographic mode is interesting because as you're watching the content, it actually appears that it's coming towards you. Like one of the examples was some confetti that went off, and it actually looked like there was confetti floating in front of the device, not just in the display. I was able to move and tilt the phone around without the 3D effect becoming broken. And it worked in both landscape and portrait orientations. And yet this wasn't even the most impressive feature of the device. What really impressed me most was the sound on the Red Hydrogen 1. It's got two speakers, stereo speakers, one at the top of the display, one at the bottom of the display, which will make it left and right if you're holding it in landscape mode. But unlike typical stereo speakers, these create a surround sound environment that really works. Virtual surround sound is rarely something that I'm impressed by, but I just couldn't understand why the sound coming out of the Red Hydrogen 1 was so good. As I was watching a video clip like this with the phone right here in front of me, I could hear sounds coming from back here and getting closer to me over here. I can hear things above me and below me, all coming from the smartphone. It was truly impressive. But even more impressive was what happened when they plugged in a pair of headphones and put the headphones on me. As soon as they started the demo, I actually didn't realize they had started it. I turned quickly because it sounded like there was some weird knocking happening right behind me. Like it felt like it was right there. I turned and immediately realized, oh, that's coming out of the headphones. This device and the surround sound coming out of it is unmatched. I haven't heard anything like that from any other smartphone I've ever used. Now, if any of this sounds interesting to you, let's get down to the price, because that's where the sticker shock is likely going to come in. In normal Red fashion, this phone is about big hype, big tech features, industrial design, and unfortunately, pretty high price tag. The entry-level aluminum model of the Red Hydrogen 1 will cost $1,195. If you want to get the upgraded titanium model, that will run you $1,595. So basically $1,200 for entry level and $1,600 for the high-end version. And this is why, in my opinion, I don't think Red is trying to compete with Apple or Samsung any more than they try to compete with Sony and Panasonic for their higher-end cameras. It's not about the phone. The most compelling part of the Hydrogen 1 is the Red ecosystem of cameras. If the company can find a way to make this smartphone an essential part of a filmmaker's toolkit alongside their other cameras, they could end up having a very successful niche product on their hands. So there you have it, guys. That was your look at the Red Hydrogen 1 smartphone. Big shout out to Red for the invitation to the event, to the party. I was gonna say launch event, but it wasn't really a launch event because we couldn't really do much media there. There is a more media-centric event happening within the next several weeks, I'm told, so I'll be there to get even more footage and bring you some more impressions of this phone as well as we head towards its launch this August. Any questions you have, please do leave them down in the comments. I'll meet you there for further discussion. And in particular, let me know, are you interested in a phone like this? Does it not interest you at all? And what do you think about that price tag? If you haven't done so already, don't forget you can click or tap on my face here at the bottom of the screen in order to subscribe for free to the channel so you don't miss any future videos. Thanks so much for watching as always, guys. I appreciate your support. I'm Andrew Edwards, and I will catch you in the next video.